Today, I thought we'd try something a little bit different. I'm just going to list off the top 15 Pokemon I actually want to see in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Ones from previous generations that I feel would be a good fit for the Galar region, or ones I just really like and don't want to lose. And I'm just going to jump right into it. Let's go.
Number 15.
Now that Megas and Z-moves are going to be out of the picture, Garchomp would be an amazing fit in the Galar region because it could just rule the food chain again with its ridiculous speed stat. If it does make it in, it will most likely be found in the snowy region up top because Garchomp's Gibble and Gabite are all used to being in mountainy areas or deserty areas. It just seems to make sense to me. Plus, we normally find our pseudo-legendaries in mountains anyway. Plus, it's a very beloved Pokemon by many. If they cut this out of Sword and Shield, it's gonna be a huge loss. I believe currently if Garchomp made it in, it would be the most powerful Pokemon in the entire lineup because of its high stats, beating that of even Tyranitar, but we'll see. Who's next?
Number 14. Argron.
And its line are incredibly powerful Pokemon that can learn Head Smash of all things and are quite bulky if, you use them right. Aesthetically, it is one of the cooler looking Pokemon to me, and its line levels up pretty quickly. Of course, it's not really made for competitive, but just for going through the storyline, this thing works wonders against NPCs. Of course, it won't have its Mega either, so it's going to lose a bit in its defense category, but apart from that, I'm really hoping I see Aggron in Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Number 13.
Mimikyu is one of the few Pokemon from Sun and Moon that I actually liked, and I'm not saying that the Pokemon in Sun and Moon were bad, but some of their designs were questionable. Looking at you, Bruxish. Mimikyu quickly became a fan favorite as soon as it debuted in its trailer, and by goodness, it's just so adorable. It just wants to be loved, so it has to wear a disguise so it can be near people, but don't look under it or you'll be cursed forever. Not only that, but Mimikyu comes with a very unique ability called Disguise, where it actually takes a free hit before you can actually damage it. You have to break the disguise where you can attack Mimikyu directly. It's a bit gimmicky, yes, but it allows Mimikyu to set up easily, and then if you have a Focus Sash on this thing, that spikes and whatever else you want to throw down at the beginning of the game, you're basically set with this thing. Buyer beware. Just don't ever get too curious.
Number 12.
No joke, this thing gave me nightmares when I was young. I don't know why, I think it's the eyes, but this thing creeped me right out. Personal bias aside towards this thing, I think it'd be a great fit into that mining facility where we see Roly-Poly. After all, nothing's scarier than a haunted mine shaft. Even though chances are high that mine shaft is still completely operational, no hauntings in there whatsoever, maybe there's a ghost story about maybe like this abandoned section of the mine shaft and that's where all the ghost types are. Ooh, fun stuff. That and Prankster Sableye is absolutely disgusting. Regardless, this gem hoarding imp would definitely make sense to be in the mining facility in Galar, and that's kind of the only reason I'm hoping this thing makes it in.
Number 11.
You know, it's quite telling that my third favorite Pokemon and my favorite shiny out of all of them is only in the 11th place on this list. Rampardos would be a great working Pokemon for the mines in the northern part of Galar. Or are they by that bridge, by this thingy, by this bridge? Or are they up here? Wherever those mines are, Rampardos would be an amazing work Pokemon for that because it can, pull the loads, break rocks with its head. It would just be a general, well-received Pokemon for, the coal miners, or whatever they're mining in there. I think it's just different kinds of ore. And it'd be nice to have, Mold Breaker. I doubt we're gonna get any new Pokemon that have it.
Number 10.
Stop. I can explain, but first, let's get one thing out of the way. I pronounce it Slacking. I know some people pronounce it Slaking. It doesn't matter. This giant gorilla sloth thing, is terrible. It has amazing stats, but it can only go every second turn, so if you have Dig, or you have Protect, this thing cannot hurt you. Unless it has Brick Break, then it can break your Protect, but this thing cannot hurt you.
Back in my day, Norman was one of the hardest gym leaders in Hoenn. Until you exploited the hell out of Slaking's ability.
So if this Pokemon is so terrible, why do I want to see it in Pokemon Sword and Shield? Well, good listener, I'll tell you. I just want to see it lounging in a wild area doing nothing, making no effort to come after you, just laying there. And if they do come after you, I want to see how lazy the animation on that's going to be, because if the Wingull can't flap the wings, I don't see Slay King standing up. It'll be rolling at you like a giant burrito or a log down a hill, just desperately trying to challenge you to a battle. Oh, that's prime meme material right there. And besides, the stat lineup of the Pokemon already selected for Sword and Shield, I see Slay King doing really well for some reason.
Number
Oh wait, we're already on number 9? Holy crap.
9.
Haha, you thought I'd leave Gen 1 out, but it was I! Well, if Pokemon Home's going to inevitably cut out all our hard work and breeding out, they might as well give us, you know, the building blocks to start fixing that. That and saying its name and its voice is just so fun. If we have the ability to transfer in our Dittos from other games, that might be a saving grace for those who have been turned off by, you know, their favorite Pokemon being cut out so they can't transfer in all their hard work. Additionally, look at just how cute it is. It's so happy to be alive. It likes being surrounded by people. It's the life of the party. Anyway, yeah, that basically is the only reason I want Ditto in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Kinda greedy, I know.
Number 8.
While unlikely to appear since it doesn't seem like we're going to open ocean, it's just the ponds and the wild area, and I don't really see ocean life being in ponds, I would still like to see Sharpedo in Pokemon Sword and Shield. I've always had a problem with its design, but its concept is second to none for me. But this would be another Pokemon that would suffer from not having a Mega, but hey, it's still pretty strong in its own right. Besides, it might be like an aquarium place we can go to where we could catch one. I don't know.
Number 7.
Ah, yes. The always weird, yet always welcome Porygon line. See, I didn't leave Gen 1 completely out. Porygon was introduced in Gen 1 and given a final evolution in Gen 4. I feel like this is somehow cheating. Leave it to this city to have someone doing donuts on a motorcycle outside my door. Attaining Porygon has never really been easy. It's always had to be gambled for, or you had to win it in some way. And it's always annoying to do. If I'm wrong about this, please let me know down below, because I know for a fact I am. Regardless, this thing can be hideously broken if used right. I want it. I need it. It needs to be in Sword and Shield. Please, Pokemon Company, let Game Freak do this. Please.
Number 6.
This thing has been a menace ever since Gen 1. In Gen 6, it became more of a menace with its Mega Evolution. We don't have Megas, it's still going to be a menace. I'm going to guess there's going to be a way we can get fossils in Sword and Shield, like the underground mine thing in Sinnoh. I'm hoping this makes it in, just period. Way back in the day, my first Pokemon game being Pokemon Yellow, Aerodactyl was my fly Pokemon. It got me from town to town. I have a special weird connection with this thing. I just want it back. I need to have it back. I don't care if Corviknight's the new fly because we're moving HMs. Aerodactyl is still like my go-to flying type apart from Archeops. And also apart from my number 1 spot, but that can't learn fly for some reason. Number 5. Speak of the devil, look what 5th gen Pokemon just slid into 5th place. Archeops, the incredibly fast, incredibly powerful, and yet somehow incredibly weak rock and flying type. Now I'll be the first to admit that this thing is a glass cannon, and its ability does not help it in the slightest. It has to outspeed its opponents or just be swept off the map, because its ability is Defeatist, which when its health drops below 50%, will half its attack and special attack, which is terrible, because you want this thing to take people out. Regardless, it does have an obnoxiously fast speed stats, and it's got pretty high attack, so it's gonna take some people out before it goes down. Also, I don't know why, but all of its animations in-game make it look like it's a little bit insane. Just putting that out there.
Number 4.
If you can't tell yet, I like fossil Pokemon. Not all of them, but the majority of them, and I'd like to see them return. And Tyrantrum, the king of the jungle, the king of the prehistoric era is no exception. Or is it Triassic? I get those mixed up a lot. Tyrantrum was my boy back in Gen 6. With head smashed, this thing was unstoppable. Just the Elite Four stood no chance. Oh wait, no, it was the Gen 6 Elite Four. Never mind, they didn't stand a chance anyway. All jokes aside, I really like Tyrantrum's design, and I really think it would fit well into the Galar region's history, especially since Galar and Kalos apparently had some kind of war way back in the day. That tells us that they were pretty close in relation to each other, meaning they were on the same continent, which means Tyrantrum could have been in both areas. Unless what they say about Regigigas is true, and the Pokemon world used to have something like Pangea until Regigigas just said screw you and pulled all the continents apart. Huh. You know, fossil Pokemon raise a lot of questions when you stop to think about it. Anyway, big scary T-Rex, Galar region, I want it. Please. Cool. Also, did you notice its teeth come out of its... There's no gums, it just comes straight out of... you know what? Never mind.
Number 3! Yeah!
Ganondorf, the dwarf Pokemon. Wait, no, that's not right. Let's try that again.
Number 3! Yeah!
Quagsire. You know, not every Pokemon I like has to be just for their stats. I like Quagsire's design, it's simple, it looks kind of like a Ditto in the face, and it's just so derpy and fun-loving, and it just wants to have fun and be easygoing and live the good life, and I want one in my team. Plus, it fits into the Wildlands aesthetic quite nicely, especially as Wooper, but I think Wooper's been spotted in one of the trailers before, I'm not sure. Anyway, I like Quagsire, I've liked it since Gen 2, I'd like to see it return. There's a probable chance it will, which would be nice, but we'll see.
Number 2.
Golisopod, as well as its ability, is a Pokemon I immediately fell in love with as soon as I picked up Sun and Moon. The second I fought Guzma, I knew this thing would be mine. Golisopod's normally considered cowardly ability of Emergency Exit makes it flee or switch to another party member when it reaches 50% health. I abuse the heck out of this because I have an Assault Vest, or I use a Focus Sash, and I just use First Impression twice, and I at least take out 2 Pokemon when I do so. This makes this weird crustacean thing very useful on my team, since I use mostly physical or fast sweepers, and I normally have at least 1 tank. This can technically fill the role of both, as long as it doesn't fall below half. Ugh. It's also just a very intimidating looking Pokemon, even though its ability makes it an absolute coward. It's like the ultimate bluff. Like, yeah, sure I'll run away when I reach 50% health, but I'm gonna just smash you to pieces before you get that chance. Kinda bluff. Quickly, before we jump into the number 1 spot, just wanted to clarify this list is for Pokemon that have not been confirmed for Sword and Shield yet, or if any on this list have, then I'm an idiot, that's totally possible. If this was for Pokemon I wanted to see in the games period, whether they're already in or not, this would be a totally different list. Anyway, moving on.
Number 1. Oh yeah.
Let the bias shine!
Yeah, I could not make a list like this without including my favorite Pokemon in the first spot. I mean, I love this thing, and Galar is big enough and mountainous enough that it could survive in the climate, and it has enough trees to just glide off of, and the wild area is nice and expansive for it to glide around, and it's just a perfect environment for this thing to live in. I have had this same Gliscor since Gen 4, and I have carried it over to every game since. When I first met Gligar back in Gen 2, I immediately fell in love with this Pokemon. There's just nothing you can do about it. When I found it evolved when I got Pokemon Platinum, because I skipped Diamond and Pearl at first, went back to play them afterwards, yeah, this was the Pokemon for me. It was love at first sight. And now we have the threat of not being able to carry it over into Sword and Shield, and that terrifies me. Because if it doesn't make it into Sword and Shield, it'll make it into a future game. But if it does make it into Sword and Shield, it won't make it into a future game by what Masuda is leading me to believe. Still, this is my number 1 choice for a Pokemon I want to see in the Galar region. In my opinion, it has the strongest design, it has the best nocturnal features going for it, it's an omnivore that eats both fruit and other Pokemon, which is pretty metal. The only downside to Gliscor that I have an actual complaint about is that it cannot learn Fly in any game, except for the Pokemon Ranger games, but that's just confusing. I don't want to talk about that. Shadows of Omnia was weird. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for this top 15 video. I almost said top 10, that'd be embarrassing. If you enjoyed this kind of content, hit like. There'll be more coming down the line eventually. Be sure to subscribe for more of my content 2 to 3 times a week. My schedule is kind of iffy right now. and click that bell if you want to see more. And I hope to see you beautiful people in the next video. Bye!